Bonjour, I'm Pierre from French Moments, and in this video I will take you for a walk in the village of Loris in Provence. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, it really supports the channel and helps us bring more amazing content to you. Also, if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Let's begin our exploration of Loris at the Place de la Mairie, located northeast of the village. When I made this video, it was market day. We took the opportunity to purchase beautiful vegetables and succulent fruits. Here's La Mairie, the town hall of Loris. It's an elegant building from 1890 which once housed a silkworm farm before being acquired by the municipality to become the town hall in 1952. Now let's take the Avenue Joseph Garnier, which leads to the old village. The street is lined with shops and small boutiques. Here you'll find a bakery, the pet shop, vegetable stores, banks, a pharmacy, a post office, and cafes and restaurants. As you can see in this video, most of these businesses are closed, which is quite normal since I visited Loris on a Monday, and as is often the case in France, that is a closing day. This street is named after Joseph-François Garnier. His father, who shared his name, was a renowned composer and oboist born in Loris, who performed at the Paris Opera in the late 18th century. The Avenue Philippe de Girard to the right goes down into the valley and leads to the road from Pertuis to Cavaillon. However, let's continue to the Place du Portail in the old village. Joseph-François Garnier Jr. became a doctor in Paris and also served as the mayor of Neuilly-sur-Seine. Upon his death in 1865, he donated half his fortune to the commune of Loris. In recognition, Loris erected a statue of him in front of the current town hall and named the main street of the village after him. And here we are at the Place du Portail. Before we enter the old village, let's take the Rue sur la Roque on the left. I want to show you a magnificent sight in Loris. Look at this incredible panorama. Here we realize that Loris is actually a perched village. You wouldn't have guessed it starting our visit from where we came. What we see is the Durance Valley and on the horizon the Côte mountain range. Let's turn back now. In the distance, you can make out the Alpes mountain range. The Durance was channeled following the construction in 1959 of the Serponçon Dam in the Alps. Known as the Nile of Provence, the Durance was long considered the third plague of Provence after the Mistral wind and the Parliament of Aix. Indeed, its devastating floods have long marked the history of the region, but it was these floods that enriched the surrounding lands with silt. Here people grew the famous asparagus and vegetables. Cherries were sent to the confectionaries in Apt for the production of the renowned candied fruits. In the distance, the church bell tower and its wrought iron campanile from 1857 are visible. In my opinion, it is the most beautiful campanile in Provence. In front of us is the communal fountain known as the Duck Fountain, the Fontaine du Canard. It dates from 1853 and is stopped not by a duck but by a swan. Let's turn left. Here's a beautiful view of the Place du Portail. Let's now head towards the castle gardens. It's a fantastic place that should not be missed during a visit to Loris. The first castle of Loris dates back to the 11th century. It was a keep that overlooked the Durance Valley. Over the centuries, various lords added buildings that were frequently pillaged, restored, and then abandoned. But the current construction owes its existence to Jean Montaut d'Arlatan, the Lord of Loris in 1718, who dreamt of building a pleasure bastide there. As the president of the Parliament of Aix, he was obliged to have a country residence. He chose the site of Loris, where he had spent his early childhood. The construction stretched over 3 generations of his family. Jean-Louis d'Arlatan refurbished the dilapidated castle to entertain his noble friends from Aix-en-Provence with great pomp. The terraces we are walking on were embellished with sumptuous gardens. Originally, the garden extended over 7 40-meter-high terraces. Many relics still attest to its former glory, monumental staircases, pools, and fountains. This garden was one of the largest landscaped gardens in France in the 18th century, but scarcely completed, the Bastide was devastated during the French Revolution. Let's climb these stairs to reach the courtyard of the castle. The d'Arlatan family sold the property to the André family around 1840. Then the Andrés donated it to the Society of Foreign Missions in 1964, which occupied the premises until 1998. Here's the courtyard of the castle, also known as the Cour des Artisans, the craftsmen's courtyard. Let's pass through the main gate of the castle to arrive at the Place du Château. To allow carriages to travel through the village streets, Jean-Louis Darlatan purchased a row of houses facing the entrance gate to demolish them. Let's take a brief loop around the neighborhood adjoining the castle. We'll start by taking the Rue Rigaud, which leads to the Rue du Portail. We'll return to the Place du Château via the Rue Sainte-Marguerite. Next, we'll enter into a maze of old winding streets. This was another surprise for me when I discovered Loris. Let's begin with the Rue du Barry. Ahead of us stands the Maison Claustrale, a stone building from the early 18th century that doesn't have many windows. This is due to the window and door tax imposed in 1798 by the Directory, the French government of the time. To pay less tax, the homeowners on the Rue du Barry decided to block several windows. Now let's take the Rue de la Tour, named after the Tour Philippe, a tower built in the 13th century and featuring two twin windows. And there, surprise, we find a secret corner, a haven of peace in the heart of the old village. Let's continue our exploration. Passing through this archway, you'll reach the church square. Here's the small Place Jean d'Autan. We're back on the Rue du Barry now and we'll follow the street again. Turning right, we enter the Grand Rue. This is a very special street. Look, the residents have set up garden tables and chairs in front of their homes. The high street leads us to the Rue du Couvent, which will take us to the church square, the Place de l'Église. Here's the facade of the Notre-Dame de la Purification Church, housing the Catholic parish of Loris. The first church was built on this site in 1480. Having become too small and run down, a new church was constructed between 1702 and 1708, based on plans by Vallon, an architect from Aix-en-Provence. Let's take a look inside. Continuing our tour of Loris, we'll take the little Passage de l'Église. It descends to the Rue sous les Campagnes. Lorus, a Roman notable, had a villa, the Villa Lorias, which became the village of Ville-Laure, 12 kilometers to the east. Lorus, which means laurel, also had a second villa downstream on the Durance. And it was this villa that became Loris. However, the oldest written record of Loris dates back to 1079. This street offers a nice view of the back of the church and its beautiful wrought iron bell tower. And we can discover the Loris wash house. This public wash house dates from 1871 and was used until 1960. Here's a typically Provençal postcard image with its 3 carriage doors. We are now back on the Avenue Joseph Garnier. We will return to the starting point by going up the street to the Place de la Mairie. With the fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century, Loris became the property of bishops and then the counts of Provence. During the wars of religion, Loris remained faithful to Catholicism, unlike the neighboring villages of Puget and Mérindol. In the 19th century, agriculture took a significant leap, particularly in producing asparagus and cherries. Today, Loris is focused on craft and tourist activities. Loris seems spared from the heavy tourist development that has transformed the village life of other communes like Lourmarin or Gordes. In 1857, a group of musicians formed in Loris. Then in 1899, a society called La Muse Lorisienne was established aimed at promoting and developing a taste for theatre and organizing evening events. This society still exists today. In Avenue Joseph Garnier, there was the Eden Hall, where musicians and singers gathered. It was here that an unknown singer at the time came to perform for the first time on the 14th and 15th of September 1930. That singer was Tino Rossi. During the war, the actors of La Muse presented shows in Loris and the neighboring villages. The money collected served as a fund for the returning prisoners of war. If you're watching this on YouTube and you've been to Loris, I'd love to hear about your visit. Drop a comment below and tell us what you loved about it. Here we are at the Place de la Mairie at the end of our discovery of Loris. Thank you for watching this video. It was a real pleasure to bring you along on my discovery walk in the village of Loris in Provence. I'll see you soon for other adventures. À bientôt!